welcome back to the Serenity Journey. This is James, and are you struggling to get your life on track? Are you struggling to put the past behind you and to move forward with the life you're trying to live? Today, we're going to be talking about Dr. Wayne Dyer's 10 Secrets for Success and Inner Peace. We're on principle number 5, which is giving up your personal history. It's all about embracing your past experiences and learning how to move beyond them so that you can be empowered to live the life that you really want. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Hello. Thank you guys for coming today. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And so we got some color back on our webcam. We got our setup here. Yay! Woo! So we've been working on things. So thank you guys for joining us. I hope you're having a fantastic day. We've been working on a lot of stuff, getting stuff ready for today, as well as getting ready for another trip to Dallas with Emily and moving stuff around. Just a lot going on. We haven't had a nurse in a few weeks because our main nurse had surgery and they've been having trouble finding backup nurses for us. But it is what it is. We just deal with it and keep on rolling forward. So that's one of the things we're going through right now. But I wanted to talk today about your past. One of the biggest issues that a lot of people have in finding peace in this journey to inner peace that we're all on is looking for a way to make peace with your own past. It's about coming to a consensus of really looking at what it is. And today we're going to talk about a few ways that your past can be affecting your present moment peace of mind and how you can start moving beyond those problems in your life. So the first one is trauma. If you have a lot of trauma in your past, I had abusive situations in my past. I've been through several issues physically, and some of those traumatized me. Some of those issues had traumas that were deep in my psyche. I was in a marriage for a long time in which I was cheated on, and that affected me tremendously. Especially after that marriage and in trusting people, dating people. And it took a long time for me to deal with some of those trauma issues. But one of the things that has come along from that is that in doing the things that we have to do, we have to embrace those experiences in our life. We have to change the relationship we have with those experiences into something that brings us into a place of peace, into a place of alignment with ourselves. And as we talked about the emotional scale, if you don't know what I'm talking about the emotional scale, I will link right here in the cards to a video what we just did on the emotional scale. You can check that out after the live stream. But we had a video that we did on the emotional scale, and it's really kind of core to what we're talking about today. But as we go through our past, whenever I was dealing with all those traumas, when I was dealing with the infidelity from my marriage, when I was dealing with the abuse I went through as a child, and I've done this not only with myself, I've worked with trauma victims of different situations and different things over the years. And the ones that have been successful at moving past them and being empowered through those situations did some things differently in their relationship to the trauma. One, you have to forgive. Forgiveness is absolutely essential to healing past wounds. Now, if you don't want peace in your life, I'm not going to say you have to forgive. You don't, but you'll never find peace with yourself until you do. It's not about the other person. Forgiveness is not something you go through for the other person. It's not about whether or not they deserve it or not. And I know people in my own family have done things that even people have told me, I don't have to forgive them. And they're right. I didn't have to. I chose to because I wanted peace with myself. Holding on to anger, holding on to resentment, holding on to rage is like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. So you have to go through the process of forgiveness, acceptance, allowing them to be who they are. And this is not easy, and especially with severe traumas. It is not an easy process to go through, and it can take years for some people to go through it. And it's okay. And it can sometimes require the help of a professional to go through it. Uh, really deep seated traumas, I think sometimes people do need professional help to deal with some of those traumas. But if you don't learn to forgive and you don't work through those emotions, then it will haunt you for the rest of your life. And negative emotions store energy inside your body, and it will make you physically ill. It will make you sick, literally, if you hold on to those negative emotions and you don't allow them to heal. I did that myself. I made myself sick. I made myself into a kind of person I didn't want to be. I was a very uh, angry person for a long time because of some of the traumas that I still hadn't healed from and some of the traumas that I was still holding on to. And when I started dealing with those traumas, I started healing from those past wounds. I didn't have to try to change the anger or try to redirect the anger. Once I healed the wounds that the anger what was causing the anger just naturally went away, and I've been much more peaceful since then. Now, I'm not perfect. I still have things that trigger me, and that just gives me clues of areas I still need to work on. But I'm much better at it now than I used to be. And it used to be like just all the time. That was like all that ever came out of me. Now it's like certain situations, certain things will trigger me, and that just gives me clues of more work that I have to do inside of myself. But it's not something that you have to do to please somebody else. Forgiveness is not something you do for the other person involved. Forgiveness is something you do completely and totally. It's one of the most selfish acts that we can do is to forgive somebody else because it allows ourselves the opportunity to heal. It's about saying that my love for myself is stronger than my anger at you. And my love for myself says I want to heal and I want to be better than I used to be. I don't want to feel this way anymore because it's killing me. And when you have that level of love for yourself, you can shift your life. And it happens instantly. It does seem something that takes a long time. It takes a long time to get you to that point, but it really doesn't take a long time to go through the process. The process happens in just moments. So that's one of the things is learning how to go through forgiveness and how to look at the situation from a different perspective and just getting to the point of deciding I'm not going to send you hatred, I'm not going to send you fear, I'm only going to ever send you love, and that's all I'm going to send you. That's all I have for you is love. And letting go of all that resentment, all of that anger, all of that hatred, and just saying I'm not holding on to this anymore and surrendering it all. And doing that will help you shift it. Now, sometimes you have to do what we call reframing. I had to do this with a lot of my own abuse, and especially because not only did I have anger at other people for the situations I went through, but also I had a lot of anger at myself for not standing up for myself, for not doing things differently, for not handling myself in a different way. But then I have to remember that I was a child when some of this stuff happened, some of it a very young child, and I didn't know any better. And so I had to look at it from a different perspective. And I had to look at it from the perspective of looking at the other people and saying, I know for myself that all these wounds that I had is what made me so angry. Just imagine how wounded they had to be that angry at me. And this gives me the perception and the perspective of being able to have compassion and love for them, as even though they were abusive and the behavior that they engaged in was inappropriate and would not be tolerated. Um, I wouldn't tolerate it if somebody was treating my kids that way. but at the same time, to look at them with love and compassion and say, I'm sorry that you're in so much pain that you feel like you have to act this way. I love you from a distance because I don't want you physically near me or my kids, but I can send you love. I can send you compassion. And that's what you got to do. You've got to reframe those things and be willing to send them love and compassion. If you want to find peace, again, my entire channel is about how to find peace with yourself. So if that's not what you're looking for, this is probably not the channel for you, because I'm going to probably tell you things that you don't want to hear. Even if that is what you're looking for, I'm probably still going to tell you things you don't want to hear, because that's what I do. I am a Scorpio, and we have 4 ways that we help people: disruption, destruction, divorce, and death. That's how we help heal people. Death, not in necessarily physical death, but in death of ideas, death of ways of looking at things. And we do that by disrupting the ideas that you have. So sometimes I get a little blunt with things. And it's not because I don't care about people, and it's not because I'm being judgmental of people. It's because I'm telling people what they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear. If you want to find peace, you have to get over that shit from your past. You can't keep dragging it through. How much time do you spend sitting around telling every story of every bad thing that's ever happened to you? This is one of the ways. So many people are using their past as a calling card. They sit around all day. They meet somebody new. First thing they do is launch into their repertoire of stories of every bad thing that's ever happened to them. Oh, well, I'm just letting them get to know me. Well, guess what? Find something positive to tell them. Stop telling them every bad thing that's ever happened. I only tell negative stories of the negative things I went to if there's a positive message in it. If there's some way I can show this is what I went through, but this is what I learned from it. This is how I grew from it. This is how I improved from it. That's the only way I ever use my past. Is if there was a lesson in it, if there was something of trauma, if there was something from that trauma that I can use to help somebody else heal or to avoid their trauma, that's the only time I ever use my past. I don't sit around telling every story about my past. One, it's really none of their business. And I'm very, very Scorpio, which means I'm very kind of closed off and I don't talk that much. I'm very stoic and I don't share that openly. You kind of have to earn those privileges with me to a degree. But at the same time, we have to stop using our traumas as a calling card. We have to stop using our wounds as a calling card, because that just, it's like sitting there having a wound and you're like, why won't this heal? But I keep picking the scab off of it, but it won't heal. It won't heal. It just keeps bleeding. Well, yeah, because you keep picking the scab off of it so it can't heal. It's the same thing. That's what retelling those traumas over and over and over again. All you're doing is picking that scab, picking that scab, picking that scab, and then wondering why it doesn't heal. You've got to stop telling those stories all the time. You got to stop using them as your calling card. You know, you got to stop using the struggles that you're going through. And I don't care if it's the past that happened 5 years ago or 5 minutes ago or 500 years ago. Stop blaming me and using my ancestors, behavior as an excuse for hating me now. That's just an excuse for your choice to be hateful. That's the way I look at it. And I've never done anything to another person. I try not to, that would cause them to treat me that way, but it happens all the time. Especially, I worked in a prison and I was a supervisor. You think I never got racial slurs thrown at me? You never think I had accusations of racism thrown at me while I worked in the prison? It happened all the time, especially when I was sitting on cases for people of other ethnicities than my own, which was 90% of our freaking population. So it was, something that happened on a daily basis. And I had to sit and do investigations on people, and they didn't like that because I had to do my job. I didn't care who they were. I didn't care what color they were. I didn't care about any of that. None of that influenced any of my decisions, but I was accused of it multiple times. I had to defend myself multiple times. I was accused of being racist against Hispanics. Now, I'm married into a Hispanic family. If I was racist against Hispanics, I would have never married a Hispanic. I wouldn't hang out with a bunch of Hispanics. Hello, the Hispanics in my family call me to make the menudo, and I'm the white guy in the family. So, but I'm racist against Hispanics because I had Hispanics that I made unfavorable decisions against when I worked in the prison. The fact that they were guilty didn't matter. So stop using the past as an excuse. You're on camera. Stop using the past as an excuse for your present moment decisions. Again, you've got to let go of that past history. You've got to move past it. So the next thing is we have the past wounds and healing the past wounds. But another issue with your past is understanding that your beliefs, your thoughts, your beliefs, we think 60,000 thoughts a day, but most of those thoughts are the same thoughts we thought yesterday and the same thoughts we thought the day before, the same thoughts because they come from our beliefs. Our beliefs create our expectations of what's going to come to us. And most of our beliefs were ingrained into us in the past. I've been talking with some people over on TikTok about religious deconstruction. I went through my own religious deconstruction in 1995 whenever I walked away from Christian church and started learning outside of the Bible. And my faith is stronger today than it ever was. But I no longer believe in the body of the church. I believe in the Bible. I believe in Jesus' teachings. But I believe in other things as well. And I went through and I found my own way of looking at the world and spirituality. But a lot of those beliefs, when I went through that deconstruction, I had to learn, and I've spent, honestly, the last 20 years deconstructing beliefs that were ingrained into me from the time I was born until I was 19 when I left the church. Because those beliefs were ingrained in me. They were forced upon me, but they weren't my own. There weren't beliefs that I chose. They were beliefs that were forced on me by people that meant well, but did not have my best interest in mind. They did not have me in mind. They were just trying to force their worldview on everybody. And most of your beliefs are the same way. This is why I tell people reject society, because society is just teaching you a belief system that may or may not be true for you. Society may be teaching you to look at the world in a way that does not fit with you. I'm ADHD. ADHD brains are not fit to conform to society. The reason so many ADHD people struggle with depression and anxiety, which I have for years, and I finally realized within the last year that the reason why I struggled was because I was still trying to fit in. I was still trying to belong in a society that I don't belong in a mindset, in a way of looking at the world that I don't fit into and was not the right one for me. And so whenever I said, I'm going to reject this societal norm, I'm going to reject this way of looking at the world, I'm going to choose what is authentic and true to me. And my peace is my number one priority. And if anybody else disagrees with me, they're more than welcome to. If they want to try to force me into their way of view, fuck them. They're no longer welcome in my life. And whenever I came to that decision in my life, it shifted everything. My anxiety started going down. I don't even get as anxious. I still get a little bit of nervousness when I'm out in public because I'm not comfortable around people, because I am still highly introverted and but I'm better at it now than I used to be. I'm a lot more comfortable at it now. I'm now at a point where I can do this, I can get out here and I can talk to people on the YouTubes and live streams and this kind of stuff. And I had to learn how to be comfortable with myself and with my own integrity. But I had to rewrite a lot of beliefs that came from my past. I had to let go of the beliefs that I was lazy, that I was stupid, that I was worthless, that I was all these things that were ingrained into me, that a lot of it came from the symptoms of my ADHD. A lot of it came from the fact that my ADHD has certain aspects that come across as being lazy and selfish and worthless and stupid because we don't think the same way normal people do. Our brains don't work the same way we do. Our bodies don't work the same way we do. But we can actually be more intelligent than what we seem. I've spent years studying stuff. A lot of the stuff we're teaching now, I've been studying this stuff for over 20 years. I've read every book I could get my hands on. I've probably gone through every single book on spirituality in the library. Religious, no matter what philosophies. I've read philosophies of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosophies. I've read Tao Te Ching. I've read pretty much everything. Witchcraft, Wicca. I've studied it all. And I've learned things from all of it. And I've learned some things from this place and some things from this place. And started realizing, man, the spiritual stuff is all one big, huge puzzle. And nobody has all the pieces. But everybody wants to act like their pieces are the whole puzzle. And everybody's got pieces of the puzzle, but nobody has the whole puzzle. So if you want to put the whole puzzle together, you've got to branch out. You've got to look around. You've got to start seeing what all else is out there. Because there's a huge puzzle. And I'll probably never get the whole puzzle put together before I die. And that's okay. I'm at peace with that. But at least I'm going to put as much of that puzzle together as I can and share it with as many people as I can. That's what this entire channel is about. Showing those pieces of the puzzle, sharing that messages, the things I've learned over these last 30 years. One of my greatest teachers is Dr. Wayne Dyer. That's why I started this with one of his books. This is one of my favorite books. There's 3 books he wrote. I read almost everything he wrote. 3 books that Dr. Wayne Dyer wrote that I think everybody should read. One is The Power of Intention. 2, 10 Secrets for Success and Inner Peace. And 3 is Excuses Be Gone. Those 3 books contain 90% of everything he ever taught. Little bit of tweaks here and there in his other works. But 90% of what he taught and everything he ever did is in those 3 books. And there are links to those books in the description below. You can buy them on Amazon. You can also go to Hay House, which was his publisher, and buy all 3 of them. I've got them all during the Wayne Dyer sale that they had after he passed away. I got like 20 or 30 books for like $10, $20, something like that. I mean, it was cheap. And I've got them digital downloads, so I'll have them forever. So, but you got to stop using your past. You got to start rewriting your belief systems. You got to choose your beliefs. I don't have a problem with you believing whatever you want to believe, but I just want you to choose the beliefs that you hold, not be living by a set of beliefs that were shoved into your head when you were a child, when you had no choice. As parents, our job is not to force our beliefs on our children. Our job is to teach our children how to form their own beliefs, how to look at the world in a way so that they can choose what they want to believe. That's what our job as parents are. That's what's going to raise our children to be independent thinkers. Teach them to you don't want to teach your children, instead of forcing beliefs on them and forcing philosophies and ways of life on them, teach them to be critical thinkers and to find those answers for themselves. That's what I do here. I teach people that are adults how to make those choices for themselves, how to find those choices for themselves. That's what we do in our coaching here. I do it here in my videos. That's what I do in my books. That's what I do in my one-on-one coachings. We help people find the answers to their own choices, to their own questions. And, that's really what every good teacher does. They are a guide. They are somebody here to guide you to finding the answers of your own choosing and letting you figure out your own path. I spend more time, when I first started coaching, I spent a lot of time lecturing the people I was coaching. Now, as a coach, I've come to realize that my job is not to lecture them. My job is to listen to them, because 9 times out of 10, my coaching clients already know the answers. I just help them figure out where those answers are at in their own mind, which makes it easier for me because I have to know a lot less and be able to still guide them to finding the answers. There's still some things that we teach. There's still things that we teach, but it's not an hour-long lecture. It's more, we spend more time questioning, getting down to the specifics of what we're looking for, and then we get in and answer the questions. And that's what you can do as you start critical thinking. We don't teach critical thinking skills in schools. I had to learn it because I learned a lot of it at the end of a paddle, because if I didn't think quickly and if I didn't think on my feet, the beatings just got worse. I literally learned critical thinking and fast thinking at the end of a paddle when I was a child, because I would be interrogated with a paddle in hand, and if I didn't give the right answers, and if the truth wasn't necessarily the answers we were looking for, we were wanting the answers they wanted to hear, not the truth. So I had to think fast on my feet, because sometimes the truth and what they wanted to hear were not the same thing. Now, I don't want people to feel sorry for me about the situations I went through. I use that as an example of learning how to think. You can do it that way. I don't want anybody to have to learn how to do it that way. But you've got to learn how to think critically. You've got to learn how to look at things, observe them, and analyze them, and determine if it's right for you or not. Determine if it's valid or not. You've got to do that. If you don't, you're going to struggle with life. And if you're new here, we've been on for 30 minutes or so. If you're new here, if you don't know who we are the Serenity Journey. You can follow us on Facebook, here on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We've been doing some videos over on TikTok. We've got about 5 or 6 videos up now. I'm not doing hundreds of videos. I'm not doing daily videos on any of these platforms, but I post at least once or twice a week on each one. And I do sometimes they're clips out of my videos, but sometimes they're specific to each platform, because each platform kind of has a different audience. So check out all of our social media so you can see where we're at. And sometimes I'll make a TikTok or an Instagram reel or Facebook post out of some of our videos, because I have a lot of videos and a lot of footage that never make it onto YouTube. And sometimes those videos make it onto the other platforms. Or edited down versions of those videos make it to the other platforms. So you can find some of the content we don't post here on those other platforms. And, as we go into the past, we also have to start looking at, so we look at reframing our beliefs, reframing our traumatic experiences. Those are 2 areas of the past that really help us to move out of that personal history. But a lot of it's just stop using your personal history as an excuse. How much of your excuses are because you haven't been able to do something in the past? When I started this YouTube channel 10 years ago, I had been doing online content and doing other stuff in other niches, but I was working on this one, and I had several people. Well, and first of all, I was getting some negative comments from other people here on YouTube. There was a lot of hate because I was a non-Christian talking about spiritual stuff. And I was like one of the first ones on YouTube that was a non-Christian talking about spiritual stuff. So I got a lot of hate. I got a lot of people that were not liking the kind of content I was putting out. And most of it's the same kind of stuff I'm doing right now. It's refined a little bit more. My understanding of it's a little better. And I think it was a good thing, but This was back in 2010, 2011, 2012. And in 2014, upon some of this, and we were dealing with issues, and I was in a depressed state and had a lot of other personal stuff going on. But I deleted everything I had on YouTube, and there were several reasons why. One was because of all the hate I was getting. Um, but two was because I had people in my own family that told me I needed to give up on this stuff. And I was specifically said, well, you've never succeeded at it very well before, so why are you going to succeed now? Well, my past doesn't equal my future. That's why. My past does not equal my future. Just because I failed at something even last year doesn't mean that I can't succeed at it now. Just because I failed at something 6 months ago doesn't mean I can't succeed at it now. Just because I failed at something 10 years ago doesn't mean I can't succeed at it now. Yeah, I failed at it 10 years ago, but you know what? I learned so much in that 10 years. I learned a lot about video production. I learned a lot about community. I learned a lot about marketing. I learned a lot about all this stuff. So, can I do it? Yes, absolutely. Can you do it? Whatever it is you want to do, the only thing stopping you from doing whatever you want to do is you. You got to get out of your own way. This is one of the big lessons I've been having to learn even now. I've been working on it for the last few weeks. Even though I've been doing stuff with the channel, I've been growing my channel. I've been trying to get this information out here. But there's a lot of people that don't even realize some of the subtle changes I've made in my content and what I'm doing with my content and in other things I've got going on behind the scenes that nobody's seen yet. All because I'm getting out of my own way. Because I'm getting out of my own way, and it's one of the big lessons. I'm still working. I know it. It's figuring out how to do it. Sometimes is a little bit of a struggle. Sometimes it takes a little trial and error. But, that's one of the things that we have to do. We have to get out of our own way. And one of the number ones we get in our own way is by bringing up that past. Oh, well, I failed at this before. Or we let other people say, hey, you failed at this before. So why are you trying now? We let those things. And the thing is when somebody else says something, this is something I've learned, unless I already have that belief inside my head, when somebody else says something negative to me, it doesn't really affect me. I can just shrug it off. But whenever they say something that affects a belief I already have, then I take it personally. Then I start saying, well, you know what? I already feel this way. And, they're just confirming what I already believe about myself. So maybe they're right. Maybe I should quit. Maybe I should give up. I did that in 2014. I had 20 or 30 videos on this channel doing the same kind of content I'm doing right now. Some of those videos had thousands of views on them because there was nobody else doing this kind of content on YouTube. So it was really easy to rank for them. And guess what? I quit because I didn't believe in myself, and other people told me how worthless I was and how stupid I was and how bad I was. And I believed them. I'm not going to let that past destroy what I'm doing now. I'm not going to let that past stop me from trying now. I got stuff that I did 6 months ago. Horrible. I screwed up some things. But I'm not letting that stop me from what I'm doing now. I've made mistakes. I've made mistakes this week on this channel. But it's not going to stop me from going forward. It's just things that I now know I need to adapt and change how I'm doing things. But I'm not going to stop because this is my purpose. This is my passion. This is what I was put on this earth to do. When you find alignment with your purpose and your passion, and you find peace with yourself, you can do anything you want to. And you can shrug off the haters, but you got to find peace. And the only way you're going to find peace is to get the past out of the way. Let go of that past. Stop letting that past define your choices. Stop letting the past decide what you do moving forward, because the past does not determine your future. One of the best things I ever heard too, I heard this one from Tony Robbins, is the path doesn't happen. Your experiences, life does not happen to you. It happens for you. All those experiences in your past that you're carrying around as traumas, the reason they're still hurting you now is because you haven't healed from them, because you're keeping those wounds open. So go through that healing. Get rid of those wounds. Reframe how you look at that experience and look at it from a different perspective so that you can start moving forward in your life. Do you have something you're not doing that's putting a burden on yourself and maybe even other people around you? Heal the wounds from the past that are keeping that burden on you, that are hurting you, that are hurting your family because you're not willing to heal that past wound. And I know people, I've had this myself. I've had past wounds myself that I carried around for years. And when I finally let them heal, the pain was gone and I was able to get out there and put myself out there and do more. You can do it. Everyone out there can do it. I don't care who you are. I don't care what it is you're wanting to do. If you find a purpose that you're passionate about and it's in alignment with your intention for coming to this place and you're finding alignment with spirit with that purpose, absolutely the only thing stopping you is you. Because when you find that purpose and that passion, doorways start opening to you, but you have to be aware of them. You have to have your mind open to seeing those doorways when they open. And then you just got to walk on through. Now, sometimes you might have to make some changes in your life. I've had to make a lot of changes in my life, and I'm not done. I got more changes that are coming. I've had a lot of changes that I've had to, a lot of toxic, negative behaviors I've had to let go of. Something that I'm still working on. I've been trying to quit smoking. I did good for a few weeks, and then I started smoking again. Now I'm fixing to quit again. I got to get off the cigarettes because they're killing me and they're hurting my ability to grow. But we go up, we stumble. We go up, we stumble. Chuck made a comment on one of my videos the other day that's not very good at doing some of this stuff. I'm not either. We're learning every day. In every way, I'm getting better and better and better. One of the Wayne Dyers quotes that he talked about in almost every one of his programs is you don't have to compete with anybody else. You don't even have to compete with yourself. You just want to be better today than you used to be. Be better today than you used to be. If you can do that every day, I'm a little bit better. Hey, I took a baby step. I took a step forward today. I did better today than I used to be. If you can take that step, walk your way up the pathway. It's not a one and done event. It's a journey. That's why I call this the serenity journey. Finding peace is not a one and done event. It's a journey. It's a pathway. It's a pathway I'm on every day. I've been there. I know what that peace feels like. So I know where I'm going and I know how to get there. And I can get myself back there, but I'm not perfect at staying there. Sometimes I got to leave and go back and be, a stupid shit a little bit. And then I get back on the pathway and I get myself back over there. The thing is the more times you go there, you ever been somewhere before and you go there, the first time you might drive really slow, might be a little bit nervous. You don't want to miss your turn. So you might take it real slow and easy so that you don't accidentally miss your exit or miss your turns. But then after you've been there 2 or 3 times, you don't even pay attention. You just kind of put it on autopilot and you go straight there. And you get there faster and faster and you get there. You can even speed up. Don't worry about it. There ain't no cop at that stoplight. Let's just keep going. The same is true with finding peace. Once you get there, once you found it, once you know how to get there, you can get back there again. And it becomes easier every time you do it. It gets faster and easier and less resistance every time you do it. So first it's taking that journey to getting there in the first place. But once you've gotten there, you're going to come out of it from time to time. But it's easier to get back to. So that's what you want to do. That's how you want to find this peace in your life. Let go of the past. The thumbnail for this video, and I wanted to mention this earlier, and I forgot to. There's my squirrel brain. If you ever driving, since we're talking about driving a car, you ever driving down a car, you got this big old huge windshield, and you got this little bitty rear view mirror. Which way are you supposed to be looking? Put most of your attention out in front of you. We look in that rearview mirror to see what's behind us. Yeah. We glance up there. We glance back every once in a while. But our focus is forward, not on where we've been. You know, Wayne Dyer used to always say, only a fool could be driving in a speedboat and look behind them and think that the wake is driving the boat. Your past is the wake. The wake cannot drive the boat. But that's the way a lot of people are living their lives. They're blaming the wake for the mistakes that they're making now. They're blaming the wake for the failures they're having now. And the failures they're having now are because of their decisions that they're making now, not because of the wake. The wake's just a path. It's just a trail you've left behind. Let it go. Surrender it. All those wounds to heal. It's the most important thing you can do in your life. We'll be back next week for the next principle. Don't forget, hang out. We're going to also be talking more about how to heal past wounds and past traumas in Monday's video. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And y'all have a fantastic day. Thanks for joining us here at the Storage Scavenger. Oh, wrong channel. Thanks for joining us here at the Serenity Journey. Y'all have a fantastic night.